what got me into architecture in the first place is quite serendipitous because I wanted to become a writer ever since I was very young. But through a series of events, I moved around and changed the language that I had to operate many times in my youth. And a writer was not an obvious choice when you don't have a stable language. So I somehow went into architecture because I've always also been interested in art and engineer and mathematics. It's only recently that I realized that I practice architecture almost as a language in itself, as creating a narrative with objects and the spaces, and also the process of making it. I think architecture is something almost like a cooking, that everyone is immersed in it without very much knowing that you're immersed in it. And often I teach my students, and I realize that in their 20s, it's very difficult to teach the sense of space to people who have not grown in a very nuanced settings. For example, there are students from the suburbs that they just don't have the feeling of the streets, of the diversities of different activities that happens in one place. So for me, that architecture really hands down the cultural influences from generations to generation in a very direct way. For each project, we very much dive into the social, the historical, the cultural background of the place first, and we immerse ourselves very much in it and almost want to become part of that before we start to do any design studies. So for some project that the client wants quick ideas, we just tell them that we can't even do it because we haven't learned you yet. So the context is incredibly important for us. If we take architecture as a language, I think the language itself is not political, but how do you use that language can be political. So I'm not so much about, okay, you do this kind of project versus not doing the other kind of project, but it's more about when you do a certain project, how you talk about it, and how you share your process of going about it, and how you intend this project to be, and what kind of form does that intention take on in the physical world. I think that process of talking about it and discussion and revolving the architectural space and processes is a political act in itself.